Good afternoon. With all due respect, Steve Hansen, I saw your note. I think African Americans are better suited to be able to define what's happening with black churches. Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation has been a partner in this neighborhood since it was founded in 1967-68. They've helped leverage over $50 million. You got that right. As a partner, they've helped leverage over $50 million in neighborhood development in this community. With all due respect, Steve, Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation is helping restore this church as they've helped restore other churches in the neighborhood. I think African Americans know a great deal about restoration and repurposing churches, not only in Manchester, but in other places. But that's okay, Steve. I'm going to walk you, with all due respect, through the lending process that we did. You know, Manchester has had several partners. Why isn't Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation lending to neighborhood organizations in Manchester right now? There's been many partners leveraging financing in Manchester. Dollar Bank, Pittsburgh National Bank, Equibank, other banks that some have left. But in Manchester, we've leveraged millions. So to think we can't repurpose churches, no. Right now, we're existing on a Manchester plan called Preservation by Demolition. I am so glad that this church, Church of God in Christ, was able to work with Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation and begin some preservation work to save this church. Think about what would have happened if we had more community organizations working with partnerships throughout the county, throughout the city, throughout the state to save historic buildings here in Manchester. No, Steve, you got it wrong. We can repurpose churches, and I'm going to show you a couple more. African Americans have been saving black churches since I don't know how long. I went to a black college supported by black churches. The day I graduate, this wall on Victory Baptist Church is coming down, falling down to the ground. The community hired me. We went out and we formed more partnerships. The community raised over $100,000, which is equivalent to $750,000 today, to put this wall back. Now, the interesting thing about it here at Victory Baptist Church, because people weren't here then, it was a grant. We never required them to pay the money back. So, Steve, I do know about partnerships. I do know about black churches. I do know how we can save institutions. But you know what? You have to have the partnerships with the community. The community has to be willing to do this. The community has to be willing to take out loans and seek grants. Oh, by the way, another thing we need to understand. It's not all about Pittsburgh. Anyone ever hear of New Markets tax credits, historic tax credits, the National Park Service raising funds and financings at the state level and the federal level? It takes all type of partnerships to save these churches. But we can't wait till they start falling down to save them. We didn't wait till this church fell down. We saved this wall. No, Steve, communities are in the business of saving their religious institutions. Again, Steve, with all due respect, I beg your pardon. This is another church we saved. Victory Baptist is still part of this community. I'm 33 years old, just taking a job as director of the Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation's Preservation Loan Fund. Over my tenure there, I've lent over $10 million. This happened to be my second loan, St. Mary's Priory. We lent it to East Allegheny Community Council, again, speaking about partnerships, so that they could help St. Mary's Priory and ultimately the church recover. Now it's a thriving business. So it's about partnerships. How do we make things happen in a way that benefits the community? Tell me about the partnerships you're engaged in Manchester to fix up real estate, to fix up our churches. When I heard about St. Joseph's Church being torn down, first thing I did was call a preservation organization who offered to cover the roof. Again, thinking about partnerships. With all due respect, Mr. Hansen, I don't tell people how to do communications, but I've been doing historic preservation all of my life. I've seen all the preservation programs, the tax credit programs. I've seen them all. I've worked them from across this country. When I tell you that the churches can be saved, they can be. All of them? No. But when a community works together and the community makes up its mind it wants to fix up houses, fix up churches, fix up schools, miracles do happen. So again, Mr. Hansen, with all due respect, I'll be glad to have a conversation with you at the community meeting to discuss revolving loan funds, to discuss partnerships, to discuss community economic development. Again, Mr. Hansen, with all due respect, thank you.